All right, major week for Sac Republic, for Republic fans, for Republic faithful, and a massive result yesterday with a unanimous City Council vote. And moving forward with the stadium, Todd Dunivant, President and General Manager, is here. First off, congrats! Thank you for all your hard work you've put into this. I'm so excited to talk about it. There's a lot of elements. I wanna start with just the emotion from you behind getting that unanimous vote. That is the final, basically the final step in terms of the
final hurdle. No, thank you. I mean, it was an incredible day, and people, the club has been through this, our fans have been through this, the city's been through it, but this was the final step. This is different. This is massive. What happened in November was massive. It set us up for today or for yesterday. It was really about getting all those pieces finalized, getting everything in place, and then from there it was 6-7 months of diligence work to turn all of that into legal documents and really go into the fine tooth with everything. But once that was done, it's still never easy. I think the end result looked easy, but there was so much hard work put in by people in this office and in the city. By ownership, it was just a massive effort, and in the end, such a great day. He asked about emotion. There was a moment where I was sitting there in probably hour 3 of the.
I can't wait to get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did. I started something just came over me, which doesn't happen often, and I almost got really emotional, and I realized I was still on the hot seat potentially with council members, so I had to keep it together. But it was pretty incredible because we've been fighting for this for a long time, and to get there, to get it over the line, it is really cool.
There's so many hurdles along the way in this process, and and failed hurdles that we've accomplished, and then ultimate failure in this capacity. And we say the word indomitable. We talk about it a lot in the office. You talk about it a lot. Ownership talks about it a lot. And I think there is a true indomitable story here from the very beginning of the club to, things falling through, failed stadium attempts. And now, opening day 2027 is a ways away. There's still more hurdles, I'm sure, that will come upon throughout that process. But what a massive way to near the end of the indomitable story of at least finding a place we can call home.
Yeah, I mean, that's us, indomitable. That's what we are. There's probably 12 indomitable stories, that you could pull out of this. I mean, you start with ownership, Wilton Rancheria, their story, and their perseverance and their resilience and overcoming what they've had to over generations to now be triumphant and ultimately do not just reclaim land, but do this massive thing for the city, for the community, for the club. It's insane, and so great and so wonderful. And then Kevin Nagel, I mean, talk about sticking it out when we were left for dead, and people thought the club was going to fold. We were getting those kind of messages. Kevin stood up and said, "No, I got this. We got this." And he's held that torch for a long time now. So, you've got that story, you've got the club indomitable story, there's so many things, and the city kept at it too. Huge credit to Mayor Steinberg and all kinds of city staff and council members past that have worked towards this, and ultimately this group now, this Mayor McCarty, finishing the job and getting it done and doing it unanimous. We'll have to check the record books, but I don't think we've lost a vote yet. And that is a tremendous accomplishment that you just don't get in these types of things ever, really. But that continues to be the story here because it's a great deal for everybody. It's always been a win-win-win for city, for team, and for landowners. And then it also is I think a lot of the final result of the years and years of great work that our club has done in the community. I mean, long before either of us were here, we picked up that torch, and the club has always been so integral into the community, and that's where you see 50 speakers come up, on a day like that and want to share their story of why this club is important.
Yeah. I agree with you on the emotional side. The emotions turn into a little bit of like, whew, I got to stretch my legs. But you on the hot seat for at least the council piece of it was very interesting to see. I want to talk about some of those pieces that we talk about the fact that like this doesn't affect city budget at all. This is a good deal for the city as well as for the club. But like the fact that they had a hard conversation basically right after the meeting, but truly doesn't affect the city budget. It's all infrastructure that we are paying for to get the roads, get there are other things. You could tell me like, hey, what's an infrastructure? I'd be like roads and other things. So I don't know.
Sewers, sidewalks, gutters, all kinds of. I mean, but you're right. All the risk is on the team. All of that was up front, and that was always a city obligation. But they came to us about a year and a half ago and said, look, we're broke. The budget is busted, and we need your help. And it wasn't a great day. It wasn't a good phone call, but ultimately we figured out a plan to make it work. Mm-hmm. And so I think, you hear from some of the critics that, hey, we're getting a subsidy. At the end of the day, we came in to fill a major gap on behalf of the city. And, it's not just that we're doing 100% of the stadium. We're also picking up that obligation too. It's a big deal. And again, I think that was clear yesterday. It was very obvious, on the economics of the deal and why it's a good thing for everybody.
And that if we don't pick up, we as the club don't pick up that price tag, this project doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
And that's, I think, what's really important to make sure we mention. I know it was said a couple times. Maybe people weren't watching the 4-hour city council meeting, so I want to fill in some of those gaps for people who don't know. Okay, there's a lot to get to. I want to just ask. We've been through a lot of city council votes. You mentioned we haven't lost one yet, which is great. However, it was a bit of a marathon yesterday. That's the last one. We have no more city council votes that will be needed to move forward with this project.
No, that was the final hurdle. That now kicks everything into motion. Land going over into our possession so that we're able to start building, start moving. There's a bunch of other elements to the deal, but that's the headline.
Yeah.
We finally own and control the land. With now that's passed, all of the real estate transactions can kick in. And all that work is really what's been going on over the last 7 months.
And all those, the structure of those deals have already been done. Now it's just kind of the final piece is signing papers. I guess, how long is this next process to where we talked about, we've seen groundbreaking summer. How long is all that process going to take before we start to see shovels in the ground?
Yeah, not long. I mean, we're talking next month soon. And we need to get into the ground because we want to start the 27 season in the new building, and we need that. It's really an 18-month kind of timeline, which is very, very tight in terms of stadiums. But we think we can hit it, but we gotta get going.
I've gotten some friends who've reached out to me asking me, kind of, maybe they're not huge Republic fans, they're fringe Republic fans. They love Sacramento, they care about Sacramento. They see something like this happen, they're excited. Like, well, how do we buy? Like, what do we do to get tickets? And I was telling them, I was like, yeah, you gotta. Like, this is where being a season ticket member is the priority. Like, this is how, if you become a season ticket member, you're going to get basically, there's obviously scales within the member base, but that's how you figure out where you want to sit in the new stadium, which I think is so cool. There's been a lot of members who've been with us for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And, that's why the emotion is cool for, staff, for you, for ownership. But the fans is where the emotional side for me is like those people who've been members for a long time, who've been waiting, they've been through stadium promises, and those are the people who I'm so fired up for to be able to pick their seat in the new stadium.
We hear that all the time, and I mean, there's a priority list, right? And if you're part of this journey, if you've been part of this journey, you're going to be first in line, and the time is now. Like you said, we have a massive game on Saturday that we're expecting to sell out against San Antonio, one of our longtime rivals. We're having Brewfest, which is an incredible event. It's the only one this year. So, there'll be 26, I believe, breweries there. Like what more fun do you want than 26 breweries
for Sacramento
and an empty cup? Yeah,
I know.
I mean, it's great. And great weather, like you said. It's going to be a perfect night. So come out. Tickets are going fast, but we do plan to sell out. So we want folks to get and be part of this now, like you said, because this is this is a big thing we're going to embark on, and we're certainly expecting to sell out the new building, and the sooner you can get in line, the better.
Well, in the celebration, I'm sure we will have some celebratory moments on Saturday after Tuesday, and there's a lot of other things that we'll be celebrating as we get closer to opening in 2027. Then obviously that first opening night is going to be electric as well. But what is the thing that you are now most excited for? That was a big moment yesterday, but now going forward, what's the next big things that you're looking forward to getting? I know that we mentioned kind of trying to get in the ground as soon as possible in the next month, but what is the next step that you feel like is not necessarily a hurdle, but it needs to be accomplished before we get in the ground?
So many things. I mean, this is there's so much work to be done as we lead in here. We're still in design process for the stadium. We're getting permitting done with the city. There's so many elements that go into that behind the scenes. We're gonna have a really, really awesome sales center that we're working on to be able to show people and bring people in to see and experience what the new stadium will look like, feel like, and ultimately how they want to be part of it. So that is a big project. So we're working on that, and really groundbreaking coming right up. So team continues. Listen, at the end of the day, we work hard all week, and then you have Saturdays to enjoy the team and ultimately why we do this. That's
a great segue, because there's a lot going on in your world. I said it last night to staff, and I'll say it here so fans hear it. You are truly maybe the hardest working person I've ever seen, juggling so many things, not necessarily just right this moment, but the past year of making sure that the team is roster wise. You had to hire a new head coach. You had to figure out this ownership change. You had to then get to this point to city council. A lot of the moving parts behind the scenes, and I know you have a lot of help and everything. But just the hard work that you put in, it motivates me, and I can see it like bring down through the club of people who feel that and want to basically live up to that work ethic that you bring every single day. And I know it comes because I'm sure that's how you were as an athlete too. But man, it's fun to watch, and it's a little hard to live up to, but it is very
no,
impressive.
Thank you. I mean, it is. I appreciate that. It's kind words, but ultimately, I've never had any success without being part of a great team, and that's what we have here. We have great leadership team. We have great ownership. We have a great staff. And that's how you get things done. That's the only way. And that's the only way I've ever had success, is being part of great teams. And this is certainly that.
When you see, fans who feel like, we've been here before. We've talked about it before. Like, this is different. We're going to own the land. And then groundbreaking. We've had other weird events previously around the ground, but like when the shovels go in the ground, the shovels are going in the ground. And we're going to bet, you kind of mentioned a little bit of a timeline of how things are going to happen in the 18 months. It's a tight window in terms of a lot of moving pieces happening, but how soon can fans start to see, things start to creep up in terms of elevation? You can start seeing it as you drive by.
Yeah, you should see that this fall. There's ground clearing, there's leveling of the site. There's a lot of site work that needs to be done first, so you'll see that. There's already a lot of that happening with the Kaiser space closer to I-5. But then, we'll see on the timeline, but, early next year, you could likely see stands already up. It is going to be fast. And, it is the timeline is a little bit weather dependent, but I think we're ahead of that, and we feel like we're in a good spot. But again, we got to hit all these deadlines and really keep pushing.
The last thing I want to talk about stadium-wise, because there's a lot of things I want to ask, but we talk about, there is the fans' atmosphere at Heart Health Park is don't get me wrong, it's great. It's one of the best in the league. But we have aspirations to make it and bring it to a whole new level, with full control being ours in many capacities. What are the things that you're most excited about from that capacity that we are going to be able to control?
Yeah, the fan experience we want to completely reimagine. You're right. Heart Health Park is top in our league, but we know that there's more. There's more here. There's more in Sacramento. There's more within our fan base, and our fans are our lifeblood. And like you said, that's what's carried us through. That's why we exist in the first place. And the fans have asked for this stadium for a very long time, and it's again, to be able to deliver that's the big deal. But I think terms of the experience, the new stadium is going to offer so many more opportunities, not just for, whether it's tailgating, whether it's, before and after matches, being able to be downtown, go to restaurants, go to bars.
Yeah.
The longer term vision is to have, a neighborhood surrounding the stadium. And that just is a whole different feel. It's a whole different vibe that it's not just for games. It's people are going to be living there, and it's going to be a permanent fixture, here and really bring back downtown in a way that pre-pandemic, it was heading in the right direction, and now we got to take it back to that top level. The Railyards has the chance to do that.
The one thing that I'm most excited about, by the way, I have already been thinking about like what opening night 2027, like what are the things that my team forever, so we could talk about that offline. I don't want to give anything away, but I got some ideas that I think I've already been thinking about it. I know it's 18 months ahead. You think that's enough time? I think it's probably enough time to think about it. But what I'm most excited about is to be in a place we can call home. We love Heart Health Park. But it's not our everyday home. It's not somewhere where we can go where there's, it's where we feel like it is ours. For you, someone who's worked here at the club a very long time, has a huge impact on making this thing happen. What does that part mean to you? Feeling like it is something that we did.
Yeah, I think we can, with a new home like this, we have the ability to literally brick by brick build something that represents what we want, what the fans want, what our players need, what our staff needs, and what the community needs. And I think that's why we did the fan survey a couple of months ago. We wanted to get that feedback. We wanted to hear ideas, and literally have a suggestion box where people are tossing in, whatever idea, crazy as it may be, give them to us. And we found some great things that we're going to integrate into the stadium. Which again, that being part of this design process while we're going through all of this, that's what we've been doing the last 6 months too. We're designing this stadium. We're getting it in a place where we can use it not just for soccer games, but we can use it for events, corporate outings, weddings, proms, all kinds of different things. That
prom on the pitch is an epic idea.
Not on the pitch. We're not going to do it on the pitch.
Not on the pitch. Sorry, it's just the name is what rolled out.
Prom on the pitch. There you go. I like that. But you're overlooking the field, right? And there's different ways to do it. I mean, we're going to have a rooftop patio that will be unrivaled. I have not seen anything like that in American soccer, and it's going to be such a cool element of our stadium. We can't wait to show everybody.
Okay, so you talk about all these things, which I love. What is like the one thing that maybe it is the rooftop, but like what's the one thing that you are like, this is going to be so different and so cool that our fans are going to get to experience at the new stadium? I know there's probably a couple you could think of, but what's the one thing you're like, man, this is unique, this is different, this is Sacramento?
Yeah, the rooftop I think is unparalleled. I mean, you don't have that anywhere else. It runs the entire length of the field. That is going to be such a cool experience for people. And like I said, maybe there's a post game events that we can do up there. Maybe there's an endless number of things we can do with the building. To your point, this is ours. We can imagine those things and
make changes. Hey, no kidding.
That's right.
It's gonna be awesome. You've gotten to see some interior, maybe locker room style looks. I haven't got to see any of that, which I'm a little jealous, but because I was excited to see what some of those looks were. I've heard from some of the soccer ops staff it is next level. What as a former player, seeing some of those things, I know that's really important to you, is making sure that players feel welcome in the stadium. Seeing some of those kind of interior things that you've got to see a peek on, that's not finalized by any means or necessary, but seeing some of those things starts to come together. What has that meant from you as like a former player?
It's so cool. We spent so much time on just the locker room area, the home locker room, and actually the visiting locker room we spent a lot of time on.
Yep.
We want that to be a great experience for visiting players. We want them to come in to Sacramento and say, wow, I want to play here.
Right.
This is impressive.
Until they get on the field and hear the fans, but yes.
And then we beat them 4-0, and they want to play that much more, right?
Yeah.
No, but I think all of that behind the scenes, just going into the nitty-gritty of how the equipment room flows into the laundry room, how that flows into the locker room, how the coach's office, all those things, and like that is fun. You don't get to do that every day, and the ability to have input on that is cool, and to get input right from our technical staff and from our greater staff, it's fantastic.
What is the weirdest / quirkiest thing you've had to like think about with the stadium that you never thought you would have to think about?
Well, one of the designs that came back, and it's probably too much information, but one of the designs that came back on the locker room showers was individual like shower pods. Been in a lot of showers in my day and with the team, and never had that. So that was something we said, why are we having individual pods? We don't need that. You can, it's part of team bonding. It's part of the experience. And so those are kind of the funny conversations we have. And we talk to the coaching staff. Hey, what do you think of this? Do you think this makes sense? And there'll be more edits like that. But those are the little details that give character, that give personality to the building.
Well, I think what's crazy is when seeing and hearing a lot of the conversation behind the scenes of like there's so many things that go into this stadium. There's so many elements that you're talking about something as a small of a detail as it's 1/1000th of the stadium is the shower situation. There's a million other ones. But I think that's important. Like there's so many different elements being thought about, talked about, discussed. And we're still 18 months away. There's going to be way more as we get there. But there is so much thought, ideas, details being brought to the table and discussed that is going to make this stadium just incredible, which is so cool. And the fact that, as you mentioned, there might be things where it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe after the game we will do this, or maybe there's so much opportunity and ability and no roadblocks in our way to make some things happen. So behind the scenes, it's incredible to see. And by the way, I know we announced Turner today. We have some fantastic groups working on each part of the process. Maybe you want to talk about a little bit of each one of those groups of kind of how they relay.
Well, starting today, Turner, will be our general contractor. They ended up being an easy choice for us, just a perfect fit in terms of being a group locally here that has built Golden One Center. Has some massive arenas around the country that they've been part of. They have the expertise and know how to do this. They're also very local to Sacramento, and that's important, So I think that's a big part of why we went with them. They're best in class. But also Manica as our lead architect, HRA, architect of record. Manica's done huge stadiums. They're working on Inter Miami's right now in their new Freedom Park. But they have a huge resume of stadiums and just talk about knowledge, working with somebody like that who the things they can do and the ability to drop in stairwells and to pull things around. It's incredible. You're on those calls.
Like I would say, we can keep going. We'll keep going. But one of the things where it's like, well, if we move this, actually the sight line of this one, and they have sight line drawings so you can see every single seat, the sight line to both corners, near corners is unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable to see. And these are people who do this. This is all they do is they build stadiums. They figure out how to make it happen. You come with them. They come with them with, hey, we have this problem. Maybe we want to do this. And they come with you to solutions. It is unbelievable. Yeah. It's motivating from just like an operational aspect of like, these people you bring problems, they have to solve them. And it's like, man, it's epic the way they can do that. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, they're great. And then Machete Group, they're leading this whole process. Behind the scenes and making sure it all goes together. David Carlock's been phenomenal throughout this entire process. And we'll have more announcements. There's other groups that we're going to bring on a food and beverage partner to lead that and all of our concessions. Talk about things we can do, being able to control the food process and have the ability to provide the offerings that our fans want and need. I mean, that is a huge opportunity. Sacramento has an unbelievable food scene, and we want to tap into that and be part of that on our game days.
Whew. All right. I'm fired up, man. Let's go. This is so exciting. All right. As someone who's been here, you started here in 2018?
End of 17, yeah.
End of 17, 2018. Yep. All right. I started emceeing at the same 2018, brought on, full-time 2019. So a lot of things have happened at this club that I've seen in terms of, ups and downs. You talk about being Indomitable. We talked about it. Just want to say thank you from me personally, from fans who don't know how hard you work. That's why I'm trying to bring it up, is how cool and epic. And this is what we talked to staff last night. We had ownership come in and talk to staff of not many people in their career get to build a stadium, and we get to do that. That is freaking unbelievable. I don't care what capacity you are in, whether you're a small part or a large part. It is just something you will talk about for the rest of your career.
Yeah, like you said, it's a once in a career opportunity. And to do it for a place like this, for a club like this, for a fan base like this, there's nothing better. We're lucky. We're lucky to be here where we are in the moment we are, and it is time to make it happen.
I love it. All right, quick Saturday shout. Got San Antonio coming off a tough 1-0 loss. We talked to Neil at a brewery last week. But how are you feeling about the team? I was telling Neil this. I feel like, maybe we aren't where we're at, where we want to be in the table. But there's been, and I literally asked him this. I didn't ask him on the podcast, though. I asked him, we were out looking at the field. And I was like, has there been one game where you feel like we didn't really play well? And I don't feel like there's been a game where it's like, man, we just didn't bring it tonight. There have been some bad lucks. We didn't play great like this past Saturday. We had opportunities. But for where we're at in the table versus where we feel like we're playing, do you also agree with that? Like we haven't really seen any. I know we haven't gotten the results we wanted, but there's just been a lot of positive play. We've had some injuries to deal with.
No, I think that's the right way to look at it. The team is continuing to build in confidence. I think you're seeing Neil's impact every week. Improve the team. Last week was disappointing because we had a couple of big results against Las Vegas. We're coming off of, being top of the table in Jägermeister Cup, and we had some good momentum. And then, we let ourselves down a little bit last week, but now it's the opportunity to respond, and against one of our greatest rivals, San Antonio. That rivalry over the last few years has been really, really intense, and we tend to step up in these games, and this is another opportunity to do that. So I think I can't wait. Again, we work all week and we kind of make a lot of stuff happen behind the scenes, and then we show up on Saturday, and it's really so fun to watch the guys play and do their thing. And Neil came in and has made a lot of impact in a short amount of time, and things take time, and you're seeing that play out. But again, talking behind the scenes, the guys are really buying into what he's doing. You can see why he's had the success he has had as a head coach in our league and in other leagues as well. He just instills confidence. He believes in his process. The team sees that. They feed off of that. It's infectious. So, I think we're just getting started, and we're only getting better.
Yeah, it's only June 11th. Long way to go. All right. Well, thank you, Todd, for sitting down. This is probably the most important media interview you're going to do this week, so thank you. Appreciate it. But thank you. Appreciate it. Congrats again. And, man, I'm fired up. I hope fans are too.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor.
Yeah, thanks.